One. Vice Chair, we are live. The webinar is open to members of the public.
All right, so we will call the meeting to order.
Okay.
We'll take the roll.
I'll start with public notice, as a reminder, for those of you joining remotely. To access the meeting remotely, join from PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or Android device using the URL listed on the agenda. If you do not wish for your name to appear on the screen, use the drop-down menu and click on the rename to rename yourself to be anonymous. To request to speak, use the raise hand icon on the screen. To join by phone, dial 1-669-900-6833 and enter meeting ID 891-7458-9069. If you wish to comment during the public comment portion of the agenda, press star 9 and wait to be recognized. This being the first meeting of the month, we would like to bring your attention to the land acknowledgement that we'll be reading now. The city of Berkeley recognizes that the community that we live in was built on the territory of the Kuchun, the ancestral and unceded land of the Chochenyo-speaking Ohlone people, the ancestors and descendants of the fourth of the sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This land was and continues to be of great importance to all of the Ohlone tribes and descendants of the Verona Band. As we begin our meeting tonight, we acknowledge and honor the original inhabitants of Berkeley, the documented 5,000-year history of a vibrant community at the West Berkeley Shell, and the Ohlone people who continue to reside in the East. We recognize that Berkeley's residents have and continue to benefit from the use and occupation of this unceded stolen land since the city of Berkeley's incorporation in 1878. As stewards of the land, or stewards of the laws regulating the city of Berkeley, it is not only vital that we recognize the history of this land, but also recognize that the Ohlone people are present members of Berkeley and other East Bay communities today. For the record, this meeting was called to order at 6:34 p.m. I'll now begin with the roll call. Chair Cayetano.
I'm here participating remotely.
Okay, and Chair Cayetano is participating remotely on a just cause provision. Vice Chair Wilson.
Here.
Board Member Calavita.
Here.
Board Member Lethwich.
Here.
Board Member Wells.
Here.
And Board Member Charco.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. On behalf of the ODPA, we have Director Aguilar, Data Analyst Mehdi, our investigator, Investigator Weinberg, and myself, Policy Analyst Camillo. On behalf of the BPD, we have Deputy Chief Tate joining us remotely. And with that, we have a quorum.
All right, let's move to approval of the agenda. I'm expecting a motion to modify the agenda. Someone gonna make that?
Well, I was going to propose that maybe since this is a long agenda, we might move 9 H postponing that to another meeting. That's the discussion of the use of force update.
Okay. The motion I was expecting, which I guess I will just make, is that we move closed session, item 11, up before item 8. So we move to closed session after the chief of police's report. My understanding is that we need to move closed session up because of the special guests that we have for closed session.
I second the motion. And for Board Member Calavita's motion, I think we can consider it, but we have a requirement to hear the item this year. So I would want to have staff speak to that before moving that item.
It's required for us to discuss it this year, before the first of the year.
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't we leave it on and see what we can get?
Yes, I withdraw that.
Okay.
And because of the just cause for one participation, we do have to do roll call votes. So on the motion to modify by moving the closed session item 11 up to before item 8, Motion by Vice Chair Wilson, seconded by Board Member Calavita. Board Member Calavita,
Yes.
Board Member Lethbridge,
Yes.
Board Member Wells,
Yes.
Board Member Boswell Turco,
Yes.
Vice Chair Wilson,
Yes.
and Chair Cayetano. Chair Cayetano?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries, item 11 will be moved up to be the new item number 8. So closed session. Okay.
Okay, let's move to public comment.
Okay, speakers are generally, as a reminder, speakers are generally allotted up to a few minutes, but may be allotted less time if there are many speakers. They may comment on any matter within the board's jurisdiction at this time, except confidential personnel matters. I'll be starting with those physically present before moving on to our virtual attendees. One moment, while I get the timer up on the screen. And then. Okay, would anybody like to provide public comment? No, okay. Now proceed to our virtual attendees. At this time, is there anybody that would like to provide public comment that's attending virtually? Please use the raise hand icon or press *9. Vice Chair, at this time, I see no hands raised.
Okay, moving on to approval of the minutes for the November 5th meeting. Do I have a motion or any correction?
I move the minutes be approved.
1 second.
Okay, and again, I have to do the roll call vote. Board Member Calavita,
Yes.
Board Member Lethbridge,
Yes.
Board Member Wells,
Yes.
Board Member Boswell Turco,
Yes.
Vice Chair Wilson,
Yes.
and Chair Cayetano.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Okay, we can move on to item 5, ODPA staff report.
Good evening, Chair, board members, colleagues, members of the public, we're happy to be back in December. Just brief updates that I'll provide, and I'll also open up to any questions. One, is not really an update per se, since we've seen our investigative clerk, or former investigative clerk, Dan Weinberg, being with us for the past 6 months. He initially came on board as a investigative clerk for the Apple One contract that the city had, but now he's officially off that contract in a City of Berkeley employee proper as an investigator. We're very thankful for Dan and the work that they've been doing over the past 6 months, keeping us afloat. That being said, though, on the investigative side, we are also reaching a point of capacity again because we're down to one investigator. I previewed the possibility a few months ago of creating some sort of system where we don't intake all the cases to ensure that we can thoroughly investigate the ones that we do take on. So just previewing to the board, I'll come back with a more formal sort of proposal on that. But I just wanted to make sure that we're being transparent with, but we're grateful for Dan's work that your bios in the package, so. The other, update, well, I'll move on that update since we're actually gonna discuss it, in the later items today. But one of the big updates that we're excited about, is to talk about our official relationship that we're gonna have with Cal, with the Social Sector Solutions earlier this year. I informed the board members that we were exploring that. We had salary savings that we were requesting from council to allow us to carry over. We weren't able to complete that contract last fiscal year, but council did allow us to carry those funds over again. So now we have been formally assigned a team. The team lead and some of the members are here. And I wanted to make sure that the board members knew about this program, this partnership we're gonna have, and hear directly from Hannah Dye, who'll be a team lead. Hannah, I don't know if you wanna go there or from there, wherever you wanna go, you wanna just tell us, tell the board members what your team is gonna be assisting us and what the program is generally speaking.
Yeah, for sure. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a senior MBA student at Berkeley Haas. And I'll be leading our social sector solutions team, working alongside Travis and Elise, and two other people, to help the ODPA strengthen community outreach and design a long-term survey strategy. Before Haas, I worked in economic consulting with a focus on surveys and data analysis. And I also have spent time working with an education nonprofit doing program evaluation. So I'm really excited to bring those experiences to support your important accountability work. And our partnership comes through the Center for Social Sector Leadership, which connects Haas students with mission-driven organizations. And we're really excited to be here tonight, and we're looking forward to learning from you and working with you.
Thank you.
I don't know if the other team members want to say quick intros.
Oh, sure. On spot. My name's Elise. I am actually a Master of Public Policy student at Goldman School of Public Policy here at Berkeley. My background is all things cities, so I was part of What Works Cities, which is a Bloomberg Philanthropies initiative supporting cities on building up data practices. So that goes from like data management, so do you know what data you have, to budgeting, are you using that data effectively? So looking forward to bringing those experiences and also learning more from you all as well. And also just as an aside, I was on my local bikes committee. This was pre-COVID, so it's been fascinating sitting here watching like the post-COVID Zoom world of this. But that's just my fun little aside. So thanks for having me.
All right, hi everyone, my name is Savvy. I'm also a first year MBA student here at the Haas School of Business at Berkeley. Prior to this, I worked in strategy consulting for a Big Four firm for the last 6 years, then 2 years in tech, and then for the city of San Jose before that. Really excited to help support Hannah and the team, as well as all of you in the wonderful work that you do. So thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
Chair, Vice Chair, we'll go ahead and turn back over to the board if they have any questions for staff, anything they want us to address, and or our new team members as well.
I don't know, just say congratulations, Dan. Exciting.
Very excited.
Yes, congratulations.
All right, so moving on to chair and board members' reports. Chair, do you have a report?
I think we have the annual report on the agenda, so I'll save that for later. And then I've been meeting with council members about our vehicle pursuit proposal to discuss that further with them. And I'll be able to provide a further update in the new year about that specific effort. And then, yeah, I think that's it. It's sorry I'm remote today, but appreciate y'all bearing with me, and hopefully you can hear me all.
Any other board member reports? We're gonna cover a number of items today that several of us have been working on, but beyond that, any other board member reports? Okay, we will move on to item 7, Chief of Police's report.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. It's been a very busy few weeks for us. I wanted to start out with a few cases of interest and give some staffing updates. We haven't done that in a minute. Looking back at November, many of you may have heard, but I just wanted to highlight that there was an all-female sorority house that reported an unknown man inside a bedroom at about 6 a.m. Our officers responded and learned that many women had seen the same suspect inside the house as early as 3 o'clock in the morning. And he moved throughout the building for several hours. Security footage showed the suspect repeatedly entering and exiting the property, changing clothes, and at one point wearing a ski mask. During the investigation, our detectives determined that the suspect had stolen food and underwear from a resident and had watched women using the communal shower. And using the security footage, as well as flock technology, our detectives were able to identify a likely suspect, who was a 45-year-old man out of Dublin. His vehicle was captured in the area before and after the incident, and we were able to get an arrest warrant on November 4th, and then on the 5th, our officers located him and arrested him in Castro Valley without incident. And a search of his residence revealed parts of an assault rifle, high-capacity magazines, and over 900 rounds of ammunition. The DA did file charges on that on November 6th. We had a another call on November 20th in the afternoon. Our officers were called to the 1800 block of 6th Street, and there was a family disturbance happening. According to the caller, her 21-year-old daughter was being forced into a vehicle by the daughter's ex-boyfriend. Minutes later, they spotted the suspect vehicle driving away, and then our officers initiated a pursuit, and they lost sight of the vehicle in Oakland. Just before 3 p.m. That day, our officers tracked the suspect to the area of MacArthur and Broadmoor in the city of San Leandro. And when they spotted the suspect along with the 21-year-old woman, there were 2 3-year-olds and a 1-year-old with him. The suspect dropped one of the toddlers and ran into the block. I will say that with the assistance of a CHP helicopter and San Leandro drone, they were able to set a perimeter and search for the suspect. They were able to safely locate him and take him into custody, and he was booked on suspicion of kidnapping, domestic violence, and evading police, as well as other charges. Wanted to highlight some of the work of our Flex team. In the month of November, they did 4 retail operations where they arrested 21 people. They did 8 surveillance operations, responded to 5 flock-initiated responses, and then coming up in this month, they're going to be collaborating with the Highway Patrol to address organized retail theft by working an operation in Berkeley with the support of the Highway Patrol. And then in the traffic safety world, tragically, Berkeley saw our 4th fatal traffic collision on the afternoon of November 15th. Our officers responded to telegraph in haste for a crash involving a pickup truck and a bicyclist. And we had learned that the bicyclist was riding southbound on Telegraph when they were struck by a northbound vehicle. And the bicyclist was transported to the hospital where he was later pronounced deceased. Because of the severity of the crash, our fatal accident investigation team responded and handled that investigation. So as we're on the subject of traffic safety, I just wanted to share that last month we received approval for 2 grants that we had received related to traffic safety. One was in the amount of $240,000 from the California Office of Traffic Safety, and that'll support our ongoing, this is a reoccurring thing that we apply for every year, ongoing enforcement and education programs to help reduce the number of serious injuries and deaths on our roads. And then that grant runs through September of 2026. And then the other grant is from the Cannabis Tax Fund program, and that was in the amount of $101,000. And that's for the education, prevention, and enforcement programs to combat impaired driving. And then briefly covering staffing, our police staffing is at 151 out of 181. That includes 5 in the academy and 3 who start in January. And then 3 more conditionals will go out for a start date of the academy January 5th. And then we have 4 police officer recruits and backgrounds. And fortunately for them, but unfortunately for us, we have 3 pretty significant retirements coming up in December, as well as 1 resignation. And then our current dispatch staffing is still struggling. We have 20 of 36 positions filled. 2 conditionals will start January 20th of next year. And that's it for staffing. And for that is all I have tonight, unless you have any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
I have a couple
I just
questions
have-
if you don't mind, but
Oh,
you can
sure.
go first. Go first.
Oh, I was just wondering about the incident at the sorority house. Why was UC police also involved or no?
They may have responded to the initial incident, but the sorority was on city property.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Deputy Chief.
Chair?
So for the question about the drone, can you just maybe walk us a little bit more through the process of requesting, understanding you needed a drone, how you requested a drone, the time between the request and the time you were able to acquire it, and how it assisted in that particular incident? I think that would be helpful for the board as we think through, the requests that the department made to council recently.
So I can speak generally how those requests work. For this specific incident, this happened in San Leandro. So because it was in in someone else's jurisdiction, they were the ones who had the drone and they used it. So that being said, our general protocol, when we know, for instance, if we're doing a high risk search warrant and our SWAT team is involved, generally there is an operations plan that identifies who the suspect is, the need for the SWAT team, any of the seriousness of the offense, any weapons that are anticipated, and then from there, the request goes to the chief and then on to the city manager for approval. It would be similar if we had an incident in the city that was happening real time, where the severity of the crime, weapons involved, or threat to life safety in that incident. In that moment, then the watch commander will typically reach out and make the request through the chief and the chief manager for approval.
And how long does that process normally take? Like if you were to give it an estimate?
It really does vary on availability of everyone involved. I would say, unfortunately, every circumstance is different, so it's hard to say. It takes a while.
Okay. Okay. And then you also sent us, or Chief Leo sent us a notice about potential ALPR related search that was forwarded to the board, but I was curious if you wanted to share a little bit more for the board as we're all here right now.
So I can open it and take a look at it. I will say that I was off last week when that went through. To my recollection and what I saw, I believe that there was something that came through that didn't look right, and I think that the agency's access was put on hold while it was being investigated.
Yeah, I mean, while you look it up, I think that's right. That's what I recall as well, and I wanted to highlight it because the notification came to us pretty quickly, and I was appreciative of the communication that was there, and I thought it was a good example of the way that the system should be working. So I appreciated the responsiveness and the transparency of the department there. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, it seems like it happened very quickly. So yes, noted. Thank you.
That's all my questions. Thank you.
Okay. There's no other board member questions. Thank you, Deputy Chief. And
Thank you.
I think we will adjourn into closed session.
Yeah, so for closed session, we will ask folks to wait outside in the lobby area, just because it's confidential material we'll be discussing. For those joining us remotely, what we're gonna do is that we're just gonna stop the meeting recording, and the audio, and then once we return from closed session, we'll restart it again. You can remain within the webinar, you won't be kicked out. You'll just have to be patient with us as we adjourn for closed session, and we'll be reporting back there. Discussion.
And I'd like to just try getting into the habit of estimating how long we'll be in closed session if we go into closed session in the middle of the meeting as we are now. So my review of the items for closed session suggests that we would be about 2 hours in closed. What do others think?
I hope it's not that long.
Are we going to do
All
of closed session?
all of those.
Well, people might not want to wait in the hall.
No, that's why I wanted to share it. I think realistically be 7:30. Oh, it's 7 right now. Yes, an hour and a half to 2 hours in close. So I want to share that with folks that might be here or online. And with that, let's adjourn. It's close.
Madam Chair, we are back in open session.
Okay. And report out on closed action.
Yes, during the closed session, the board received updates on the regulations process and declared two case complaints, one for administrative closure and a finding and recommendations report, as well as receiving updates on two additional cases. With that, Vice Chair, we could proceed to the subcommittee reports.
Okay,
Okay, as a reminder, this is a time to report on activities of all subcommittees and possibly possible appointment and reappointment of members to these committees. The list of the active subcommittees is on page 14. I'll start with the regulation subcommittee if there's any update.
No further updates.
Okay, policy review subcommittee, any current updates since our last meeting?
No.
Okay, metrics and operations.
no updates, those will be addressed in a later agenda item.
Okay, outreach and engagement.
We have no updates.
Okay, arrest quota prohibition.
No updates there either.
Okay, policies and practices on cabinet clearances.
No updates.
And are there any updates from our liaison? Purpose.
I don't know, do you have an update on EIS? Chair, is he still here?
Oh.
Okay, on the FIP, I just wanted to, ask staff, I had to ask at some point to. Or, schedule for Andrew Pritchett to come and talk about the SCU transfer to Alameda County. If you recall that request, I just wanna remind you that it's out there.
Yes, if we did connect with, Ms. Pritchett, do you remember what the plan was for this particular?
The plan was initially to see if we could put it on the agenda for a December or an early next year meeting. We're still coordinating.
Okay,
that,
that's fine.
So,
Thank
but it
you.
is not.
Okay.
Okay. That concludes subcommittee reports.
Well, for the policies assigned to individual board members, just a request that going forward, can we revise this so that instead of the policy review number, there's some verbiage about what it is?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, I think we can move on.
New business.
So 9A, you want to chair say something about that?
Director.
Yeah, director.
Sorry. Yes, due to the change in our agenda today, it was our understanding that our guest speaker, the chair, the LA County Civil Oversight Commission, Hans Johnson, who's agreed to present on your work in the California Assembly Bill 847, was no longer going to be available tonight. So we were going to reach out to try to reschedule for that, so we do apologize for that next up.
Okay. All right, 9B. Yeah.
This is just an update related to the public arrest quota. Recommended language, and then also a bit of sort of a detail in the recommendation related to whether or not this language should be standalone policy or incorporated into the fair and impartial policy. So where Deputy Chief Tate and I sort of last it is, we slightly amended the language to say no member of the department shall establish or enforce any quotas for arrest or citations, which is just a slight adjustment to the language we proposed before, which was very short. When it comes to the fair and impartial policing, when it comes to whether this language should be standalone or included in the fair and impartial policing, Deputy Tate and I are aligned to the recommendation to the language being included in the fair and impartial policing section. And the goal is to just make clear that even when you have language that is requiring the department to establish or to not enforce any quotas for arrest, her concern is that decisions by officers should be grounded in fairness, objective judgment, and community trust. And I'm along with that. The second point is when I also read the longer sample quota ban policy. We feel that the language that we're suggesting is in alignment with the spirit and the intent of that language, which is to make clear that any form of any type of stop, ticket, or arrest quota is strictly prohibited. And I think that can still be effectively maintained by this language being included in the fair and impartial policing section.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
So are we being asked to vote on this tonight?
I think it would be great to vote on this and we can sort of close this out and then we can close this subcommittee as I don't think there's much more ground that I can really discuss with Deputy Chief Tate, and I'm the only board member that's on the subcommittee at this point.
So what you're proposing is to add this, I'm not clear. So the recommended language would be this one sentence here?
Correct.
That would be added to the fair and impartial policing policy.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I think what's confusing is the last sentence in your background says, PAB recommends the development of a new freestanding policy. But I don't know what that means, but you're not recommending.
I'm not recommending that. That is the background that was,
Okay.
that was.
PAB did
so
recommend that.
context, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you discuss with the department, adding implicit or explicit? Because the problem had been, I mean, this all came up within the context, you know, of the texting scandal. And the issue as to whether they had arrest quotas, and some people thought yes, some people thought no. But it's because there wasn't anything, there was no explicit policy, but there was an expectation. So that was the reason originally we thought policy, it should include implicit as well as explicit.
I don't think Deputy Chief Tate would have an issue with including implicit and explicit.
Because that was the real.
No, and I understood that from the Swanson report, just even reading the text messages that why you're asking for that to be included.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
Oh, can I ask a question? Sorry, before we motion. Board Member Wells, did you ask the department if they thought that under your proposed language, the text messages that were uncovered would have been a violation of the proposed policy?
That came up early in our meetings, probably back in like April or May when we started, and Deputy Chief said, she basically said that the report was inconclusive, so she never openly acknowledged it, but just referred to the findings of the overall report.
Okay, I guess I just, for the record, for the public record, my intention with passing a policy of this nature, or approving it, recommending it, whatever, is to prohibit the types of things that we saw in the downtown task force report. And so my intention in elevating this is to capture that type of conduct, and to the extent that that's helpful for future, I think it's important to state that out loud.
I think also that's the reason why I wrote this as a memo, so that it's public record to acknowledge that there was text messages amongst police officers in the Swanson's report that demonstrated there was some level of implicit arrest quota behavior practices taking place.
I think, yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I think it was a good memo. The other thing I was going to add is that in terms, if we're constructing a memo or a motion right now, my strong preference is to not to ask the department to implement it, but to ask city council to implement it. And I think that having council, because there's a couple reasons. One is council asked us to bring it back to them when we presented the report. The second is that if council passes a resolution, it will not be, it will be set in stone until that resolution is dissolved. And the third reason is that I think it's important to come back, to the public before the full council with a proposed language, proposed resolution, so that it can be heard in that form as well, as opposed to just like changing the policy in collaboration with the department right now. I think if we can construct a motion that where the department and us jointly submit this language and language for resolution, I think that would be, really effective for the board. And I have talked to a couple council members who are interested in sponsoring that resolution. So I think there would be a lot of movement there.
So Josh, are you saying that it would be a resolution rather than being incorporated in fair and impartial? Or both?
Resolution
right.
acknowledge that it would be incorporated in fair and impartial. I think, sorry, Vice Chair Wilson.
Yeah. The resolution would be right directing that it be incorporated.
Exactly.
Mhm.
With the
Explicit or implicit.
Implicit.
So I'll make a motion to approve the recommended policy language. Board Member Wells' memo as amended to include the language implicit or explicit as a modifier of quotas. So the language would be, no member of the department shall establish or enforce any implicit or explicit quotas for arrests or citations. And I further move that Board Member Wells work with Deputy Chief Tate to advance this language to the council in the form of a resolution directing amendment of the fair and impartial policing policy to reflect the new language.
Sorry, I don't want to ruin your motion. Did the department agree? Like, I guess, like, I think it would be effective if my understanding was that they were opposed to the word implicit. And I just want to make sure that if we vote on that motion, we're saying that we're asking them to come to the table on implicit and then to go to council. Are we going to stand? I just want to make sure that's clear with the motion.
Well, I think we're approving that language and Board Member Wells is gonna have to work it out. If you can't, with implicit and explicit, then it'll have to come back to us.
That's fair.
yeah, good.
Okay, I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Okay, so are we moving forward with the original motion or are we amending that motion?
Well, I think the original motion should stand, but clarity for the record, Jose.
I think, yeah, we think we can leave the original motion, but we need a second. I'll second. Okay.
So the original motion was the motion to approve the recommended language in board with the amendment to include the implicit and explicit quotas and to further direct Board Member Wells to work with Deputy Chief Tate to advance the language to council in the form of proposed resolution. Motion by Vice Chair Wilson, seconded by Board Member Leftwich. I'll proceed with quick roll call. Board Member Calavito,
Yes.
Board Member Leftwich,
Yes.
Board Member Wells,
Yes.
Board Member Bill Cartel.
Yes.
Vice Chair Wilson.
Yes.
And Chair Gaetano. Chair Gaetano, you're muted.
I said yes. Sorry. Yeah.
The motion carries.
All right, let's move on to item 9C. I don't think this should take 15 minutes. I'll explain why I wanted this on the agenda. Is that at a recent council meeting, the drone acquisition was formally advanced to the city manager. I think initiating our review process or indicating that our formal review process will be initiated at some point in the near future. So my ask in putting this on the agenda was simply for the director to share with us the timeline going forward for our formal review. We also have a memo from the director, which has some good background information, as well as one from Board Member Wells, who observed a drone in practice. Given the time, I don't personally feel like we need to go through the substance right now, but rather understand what our responsibilities will be and when. And perhaps designate in advance a board member or two who really want to dig into drones. So that we're ready to go when the time for our review is triggered. So could you go over that time frame with us, Director?
Sure, and I'll ask our data analyst, say if you can please just point in on that timeline, but in essence. Like you said, Vice Chair, the process has been started with council formally making a recommendation, so the SDO has been initiated. Where the PAB has had, sort of heads up that this item has been coming, so we've been analyzing. We are expecting from what the chief has indicated to us, that she plans to go to the council in February, which means she will need to give it to the PAB sometime in early, January, but, our data analyst, just clean that up a little bit, please.
Yeah, so, absolutely, so the chief, like you mentioned that, probably around early January is when they should get the draft policies, over to the PAB. And then around mid-January is when she expects to, or she wants us to kind of, finalize with that. Also, she mentioned that there's, community meetings, like we have the ALPR. And essentially for the PAB, the review process, like the director mentioned, would be under STO. So once the use policy is presented to the PAB, the board has 30 days to act. And then within that period, the PAB may recommend approval, modifications, or object to the proposal or take no action. And also important to note, the 30-day clock does not begin when the chief circulates the draft, but only when the city manager formally transmits the surveillance use policy to the board as part of STO.
So even though the chief plans to get it to us at the beginning of January, that may not trigger the 30-day clock,
Right.
because it won't be coming from the city manager.
No,
Not this board, because the chief acts as an agent to the city manager.
Right, she's just like a co-author of this process.
So our 30-day clock is likely to be triggered at the beginning of January, and we'll have 30 days.
Correct.
Okay, and during that time, there'll be this community meeting. Okay, so this is obviously a really hot topic. Some of us listened to a lengthy council discussion on it. I think there's obviously quite a bit of work to do, in order for us to meaningfully weigh in. And I'm curious, and I'm looking at board member Wells. There are board members who are particularly interested in this issue or have some bandwidth to kind of commit to doing some heavy lifting on it to help us out in that 30-day period.
I'm definitely interested.
Okay. I think that would be helpful. Anybody else?
I personally,
All
if Buzzell Charco is interested, I would love for him to participate. But if not, then we can find an opportunity elsewhere.
Very kind of you.
No problem.
I feel like I can't commit right.
You can't,
Sorry.
okay. All right, so I mean, there's no reason you have to wait till January. And one of the things that I think would be helpful, I will share with you some notes I took about specific council questions that they asked or indicated to the city manager they're gonna be looking for when this item comes back. Because I think it shows areas where we could be helpful in terms of our analysis and exploration. So I'll pass that along, and ODPA staff, if you have any like specific questions, council has asked, I think that'd be helpful to share with board member Wells as well. It's in the memo.
No, this is pursuant to our conversation. We're not drafting.
Oh, you're working
Yeah.
on it. Okay, great. Okay, good. All right. I think that would be really helpful.
And just real quick, in the memo, we indicated that we've engaged with the group with Chase Boudin, so we can also bring you into the fold with that, those conversations to expedite this.
Oh, good. Yeah, they can help do some legwork. Yeah. Excellent. Okay.
I think this would be a good policy for us to work on with the council. I know I've reached out to a few people expressing my areas of concern and wanting to get their concerns as well.
All right, good, thank you. Let's move to item 9D, annual report presentation. So, Director, I think I asked for this to be on the agenda.
Vice Chair,
But did,
you have to vote
yeah.
on Member Wells to, or that, or no, for that
I don't
specific.
think we need to, I don't think we need to now.
Okay.
We aren't creating like a subcommittee or a league, it's kind of informal.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to be empowered to speak to council on our behalf, or like, but that's fine. Yeah.
I
Okay,
think maybe when the clock starts. But not necessarily right now.
Sorry.
First choice.
Sorry about that, Vice Chair.
so let's go to 9D. Director, again, I know I asked for this to be on the agenda for a very specific reason again, but are there things you wanted to orally cover that are written in your item on this?
No, just emphasize, I think that one of the areas we noted and Pat also noted is our improvement area for outreach, which is why we're excited about the town partnership. And that the council also expressed interest about our outreach activities and how to leverage different partnerships with that. So it's something on our radar. We're hoping to really have a good strategy, but also bring back data to the council through the public safety survey that we were trying to work with that group. So those are the sort of summary notes there, but I can elaborate more if you.
Okay, yeah, I think my two takeaways and Chair, obviously want to hear from you. But just this focus on metrics and the lack of alignment between the department and the PAB ODPA in terms of how we're measuring disparities in particular, that was highlighted and emphasized a number of times, and I think we should plan to work on that with the department before we produce our next annual report. And on the engagement and community outreach, that was also very heavily emphasized. And the reason that I asked this to be on the agenda is because one of the reasons I know that we haven't done things like hire a social media strategist or sort of invested in communications work has been around money and budget. And I just wanted to say, as the budget for NPA and the PAB are being developed, I personally would like to put on the table looking at things like our travel budget and the conference budget, and perhaps reducing that so that we can transfer dollars to fund communication efforts, because I specifically believe we need help on LinkedIn, Instagram, for all of the members of the community that really are getting that information that way. So that's why I wanted this to the data alignment, the metrics alignment, and the communications piece and finding money for that. But Chair, did you have any other kind of takeaways or things you wanted to share about that presentation that you did? Not me, I just watched it.
I think the first thing was that they seemed that they were not interested in our metrics standing alone, and that they wanted us to grapple with also the department's metrics that they have. And so I think that going forward, in terms of metrics for racial disparities and stop, sorry for lack of context. And I think that we should analyze the department's proposals on their own terms and decreasing disparities in that sense in our next report as well. And the second thing is that on the community engagement piece, the mayor did say that she would like to see that. I think that working through council, there could be an opportunity for that. And I would invite the board to think about ways that we can establish metrics for community engagement. It is important to the mayor and to the rest of the council, and I'm not sure, where we could start on that, but I think there's an opportunity there for sure. And the third thing, which was maybe surprising to me, was that there was, support across the council spectrum in reviving and rehabbing a little bit, or we'll say strengthening our profiling by proxy policy. And I think that there could be an opportunity for that in 2026. And I think, that might be something that we pair with the arrest quota policy as a couple. What was that? Sorry, I missed that.
This, board member called me that didn't hear you. But-
Oh, yeah, the filing by
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
those are the three things.
okay. So this is not an action item. I do think it gives us some good fodder for what we should plan to talk about at our planning session. Okay. Let's move on to 9E. Our meeting schedule.
So the meeting schedule, or at least the proposed meeting calendar, is on page 31 of the meeting packet. The dates, thanks to our master, who helped us sort out the holidays, and all the city observed holidays, as well as our what the city calls the VTO days, or the days related to city reduced services. That's a bit of a cost saving measure. The dates that are in yellow are the proposed dates that don't have any conflicts with any of the religious holidays or observed holidays. In total, there should be 18, sorry, I lost track of everything. Of the meeting, but the charter requires us to have 18 meetings. We took the feedback that we got from this year, even just avoiding, or this year kind of helped out because like February 14th just happened to be on Saturday next year. So it works out, but we vetted these dates and for the most part they work, or they work, that's why they're being presented, but we're bringing it forward to see if there's any changes that want to be proposed to it. But on our end, this is the date that works the best in terms of even just staff planning for our meeting and prepared material.
We need a vote on this.
Yes, and we have to present it to the clerk by January 7th.
I would move that we approve this calendar.
This calendar has 19 meetings, I believe.
Yeah.
We only need 18. I would ask that we go down to 18 and that August is your recess, right? Wouldn't you guys prefer to at least only have one meeting in August? As a staff team? Just thinking of you.
I don't know, but we only have one meeting in October, one in November, and one in December.
Yeah, we could move one of the August meetings to October.
Because that's very few meetings at the end of the year, so.
Yeah.
So maybe we, move one from August.
So maybe you can bring this back at the next meeting, hearing the request that you reduce it to 18. And to the extent that you can give yourself the August recess, we're supportive of that. And maybe have fewer months. Maybe
I don't
beef
know.
up something in October, November, December. Well, I'm supportive of it, but
I'm not necessarily supportive of reducing it.
oh, from 19 to 18.
Yeah.
18 meetings is really a lot for a board. Maybe not in the city of Berkeley, but any other board I know of. So I personally would like the 18 meeting.
I mean, my question is, why do we have 19 meetings? Is it just a tradition that we're carrying over from year to year?
Historically, well, yes, since we've been here, well, yes, and no. Yes, in the sense of the 19 meetings have always accounted for trying to have at least a meeting every month, primarily due to investigative timelines. At least we experienced it, and I think Dan can speak more to it than I can, but I can think of a few instances where we ran into issues because we didn't have any scheduled meetings in the coming days, and there's a timeline that we had to fulfill and present it to the board, but we couldn't necessarily do that. That's how we ended up with some of the special meetings in August, for example. But I'm not sure if the director or Dan wants to add any more to that.
Take the feedback and then we'll take it through and when we hear it, but we also build in that buffer and when we're low on quorum and we cancel meetings, it's like safer to have that extra meeting.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but maybe you could still play around with the August and get another meeting in October instead.
Can we have the next time you bring this around, like a purple square for a city council meeting and a red square for like the rules and agenda committee or the public safety committee meeting that are set, if they're set? I think that one big issue this year is that our meetings, like when there is something that's constrained, we just have run into issues with when council is voting on things, and I want to make sure that we're cognizant of that.
That's a great point.
And also, if you could mark on the calendar the proposed day that aligns with the city council meeting when the annual report would be when we were talking about would be presented to council, I think that would be helpful too. Because just like we have a specific things that we know are going to be happening early next year.
Okay.
I don't want to pile on, but given that we're gonna have a 30-day review process on the unmanned aerial system, I would recommend that we move the meeting on the 14th up to the 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is?
Because if the,
Go ahead, Kitty. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, because if the chief gets us something on the 5th, and we don't meet till the 14th, is there a reason why we can't do the 7th? You will,
It's also hard to predict what else may be, it could be a special meeting, we just focus on that item, but we can try to do that as well, so.
Okay, well, we've given you a lot to do. Hopefully you can use AI to help you come up with something that accommodates all of these.
is there another meeting in December?
This is.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
On the 17th, right?
Yep.
I'm not
Oh, I thought that was our party.
All right, let's move on to 9F, the annual retreat, which we also need to find a date for, and I guess have folks, somebody lead the planning for, is that right? Director?
Traditionally, that's what, yeah, it helps us, support the PAB's wishes on that.
Well, I know I've done it in the past, but I just don't have the bandwidth to do it with all the activity run regulations.
Did we do it last year, Chair?
You talking about facilitating, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, or the agenda, I just can't remember. Did you do it last year or this year?
Yes, and we did not have a facilitator,
Right.
so we decided we didn't need one. So my guess is that the agenda will be similar to what we had last year, but I don't know.
Well, last year, we had a focus on like, what are we required to do with our discretionary authority and earlier this year. I think we've accomplished some stuff.
Was that, I thought maybe that was 2 years ago.
Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't know. So I'm willing to volunteer you and me, Chair, to come up with what this should be.
Yeah, we can chat.
Great. Gee, thanks. Okay, and then maybe within our next weekly with the director, we can figure out if we want to try to bring in somebody. Just not,
I don't think we need to.
I don't think we do either, but it does help if neither of us feel like we have a ton of time. So should we, would we do this in January, in a Saturday, February, early February?
Forget when we did it last year. It was either late January, well, it's either, I know it wasn't later than mid-February, and it was a Saturday, it was like 10 to 2.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too onerous.
So can the staff, can you poll the board for the Saturday in January?
Yes.
Yeah, after January 5th, so not that first Saturday, and then maybe the first 2 Saturdays in February.
February. Oh. That's Sunday.
Oh, okay. Is that your
Super Bowl Sunday.
first Saturday? Oh, Super Bowl Sunday. Okay, Saturdays, and then are people good with that time frame again, like 10 to 2? I think it's good. All right, so we'll just do a poll. Okay, anything else on their sheet? Director, need anything?
Not at this time.
All right, so 9G, this is what I've been talking about for 2 years. A proposed policy manual for our board.
I went through this very carefully, and then I realized, I don't know if you were expecting us to. Well, wasn't sure what the expectation.
Well,
was.
that's exciting. I think if you've gone through it very carefully, you should provide your careful comments, not in this meeting unless there are things that you think people will object to. Cause I can just, like your edits, your everything like that. Sensitive issues. My thought is we would air them so that they can be addressed by board member Wells and I, and then we can bring it back for a vote in January. But I don't know, given the time and whatnot, I don't know the nature of your comments.
Well, some of the more substantial ones are that these things will be implicated by our regulations, like conflict of interest and when people recuse themselves. And of course, that's
Well,
it's.
that's
Yeah,
coming
we
from
have
the-
very detailed regulations about what if someone, I mean, this says board members recused for a conflict of interest, well, people need to recuse themselves. And then the question is, well, what if somebody refuses, then what do you do? So we have this elaborate procedure, or we've been discussing what happens if someone does have a clear conflict of interest and they refuse to recuse themselves, then what happens? So it's what's here, and I don't know if you got these from the interim regs.
Well, the sources are here.
Well, this says the charter.
And also
Okay,
the
so the
commissioner's manual does also talk about conflict of interest.
Right,
So
but
it's
it's
like
not,
conflict of interest is in our charter.
but I'm saying we fleshed it out much more in the regs because there are a bunch of different scenarios.
Okay, but I think that's not, the regs, we have no idea when they're gonna be finalized, so I personally feel like we need something that governs what we're doing now, and then if we need to modify it when we update the regs, that's fine, that's my personal view.
Right, well, we just need to be sure it's consistent with the interim regs, because those do govern us now.
Okay,
So that was just kind of a,
yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
The other thing is my recollection that our rules need to be, certified or whatever the word is.
Our standing rules?
Yeah, they were.
The initial ones needed to,
Right?
the initial ones were ratified by city council, but in the current language, it says that,
If they change, they don't go back to city council.
that was my understanding, let me just make sure, for policy, you have a response to it, I'm on the language.
I'm pulling it up, but my immediate recollection is that the interim regulations allow for the board to change its standing rules, but the initial one did have to be ratified by council.
Okay.
Yeah, as I said, I have a lot of comments, so I don't know, like, I mean, like, under meeting locations. Police accountability board meetings are generally held in person in public meetings, well, they're always held in person.
Okay.
You know, just things like that, but I don't know if it makes sense to. I don't think it makes, well, I don't know.
I don't think we need to go over that in that kind of thing, because then that's an easy change. I'm sure, I don't know where I got the language from, but. Probably proving it from the commissioner's manual.
And then there's the section 5 references amicus briefs. On page 15. And I don't. It says it's from the charter, but I don't think the charter says anything, I mean, we're not allowed to file amicus briefs.
Oh,
I don't remember anything about that.
yeah, that could be an oversight.
That might have also been as a sort of reaction to trying to codify it, because our office did suggest we recommend to council to file on, so that could have been a way to try to codify that process, because we didn't have it.
So do you want us to send you?
I want you to send me or just hand me tonight if you have them handwritten. But I think if it's something really big, so the things I teed up in the memo. Right, that are really, in my view, they're not resolved, are, one, I'm trying to look for it, how we handle these ad hoc bodies that we have that are not subcommittees. Right now, only the standing subcommittees are in the policy manual. The goal of this in my mind is I found it very difficult as a board member to know what I'm supposed to be doing. I also find it difficult, basic stuff like where do I record my training hours? How do I, all of that. So it just having to be just like one-stop shop for a board member. So it's not, if it doesn't list our ad hoc committees, on the other hand, the ad hoc committees change all the time and you don't want this document to have to change all the time. The other substantive thing is I'm recommending that we only have one public comment policy, public comment period. And then this has the discretionary policy review process that we have gone over a number of times, but this would make it like, this is our process. Chair, sorry, I just saw your hand.
No, I have a few comments on the substance, but the structure is really good. So just in terms of the I like kind of like board member left, what you're saying. I just have a couple like smaller things, I guess. One is that for oral comment, for example, it says speakers cannot cede their time to another speaker. I don't think that's been our standard practice. So I guess.
Do that.
No, this is my recommendation, because I don't think it's a best practice, but
Okay.
that's good, that's why we have to talk about it.
So that's helpful to know. I guess I would want to hear your thoughts more before opining on that, why that was. But before, like, we just get down that rabbit hole, let me point out a couple other things. For on page 24, the factors to be considered, I think you're spot on with the four bullets, but I think the impact and necessity could just be defined a little more just for, impacts impact to whom? Is it like for the public's sake? Is it like public interest, like things of that nature? And what the necessity to what end? Like, are you talking about like if the charter requires it? I actually don't know when necessity would come into play for that. So it'd be interesting to hear more about those two things. Um, and maybe if you have any particular things like the speaking thing that you thought were changes in our current practices that you decided like that you are making a recommendation, I think it would be helpful to flag those if you can think of any else besides the speaking one.
So, I mean, I think the big one that I saw is not having two public comment periods at the beginning and at the end. That's a change to our current process. I didn't really think about the seating. But I just think that the purpose of the public comment period is to hear from the public and a number of different voices, and you don't do that if you get like 12 people all ceding their time to each other. And if somebody wants to make a really long comment, then I think we need to address that in a different way, not ceding time. So we can have agendize somebody to be a speaker and present and have a dialogue with us. So that's generally why I would say you don't allow ceding of time. Because you want to hear from a number of people in the public, not like one person who's just gotten a lot of people to give them their time. The reality is, I don't see that happening very much here. I've been on I've experienced other environments where it happens all the time. But so I don't feel super strongly about it, but
You know what, the other thing you have in here on page 27 at the top, after 2 hours of public comment or 100 speakers, the chair may close the comment period. Please no. I mean, I don't think that would happen, but I just think that's kind of a bizarre thing to happen.
Yeah, this obviously draws on other documents and other bodies where there are a lot of speakers. We don't have it, but I do think there should be some provision for a chair to close down public.
Oh, I agree.
So maybe this is too much, but we should have something.
Maybe in the chair's discretion, if something blah, 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 but not this.
I can revise it, I mean, if you guys want to allow the seating, I can revise that.
I don't feel strongly about that personally.
I also feel that we should have the 2 comment periods. I think it's important to have one at the end. Because so that speakers can actually comment on things that have been brought up at the meeting. And I wouldn't want to forfeit the one at the beginning either, because some people can't stay all the way to the end. So I don't think it takes anything from us. It's not like we have so many speakers. I wouldn't give up one of the comments. Another thing is that, and I don't know whether this is the kind of thing to bring up now or to send to you, but on filing a complaint on page 22, actually 60 of the packet, it says complaints may be submitted by individuals directly impacted, eyewitnesses, or their representatives. The interim regs say aggrieved parties or what's the word they use? Recipient witnesses, but it doesn't say anything about representatives. That's one thing, but more importantly, the charter says any member of the public may file a complaint.
Right.
And that is going to be in our permanent regs, mirroring the charter. So, I don't know how often we would want to come back to this, but you know, it's pretty, by the time we finish these regs, that will be this situation, and that's what the charter says. So maybe we ought to put it in here like that.
Yeah, okay.
I have a couple more comments if that's helpful.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the, let's see, the policy final report on page 25, I would just want to add another provision that says something like if they decline to comment, then that can be noted in the report. I just don't want to I don't want to be handcuffed to their timeline and giving feedback if we have a desire to publish a report sooner. I think we should endeavor to include what their comments are in our policy recommendation always. But I just don't want to be handcuffed to their if they're not being responsive.
Okay.
And then let's see. I do think the seating time. I don't want to have a hard and fast rule against seating time. I think that even the bullet above that is about urging people to appoint a spokesperson, and if there is that type of coalesced interest in having a spokesperson, that spokesperson should have the benefit of a couple more minutes. So I don't know how you would want to rework that, but I understand not wanting it to be unlimited. So maybe there's a way to interact with that concern. And the last thing is, do we want a section on the annual report process in here? I know that was something that we had to work through this year, and I just wanted to ask that question.
I think it would be great, but I don't know if we know what that process is. So maybe that's something we could work on at our retreat, mapping it out and ultimately trying to put it in here. The fact that we have to do one is listed in this manual as a something that we have to do, but not a process. So I don't feel prepared to articulate a process just yet.
Yeah, just an idea, but I don't think it's necessary to spell out exactly. Just like for continuity, having maybe something in the statement actually about endeavoring to present it as close as possible or concurrent in time to BPD's annual report. That's sort of a principle that we can aim toward. I think that's helpful, but I don't know if we need a specific process outlined.
I have a few more things too, and under composition. Says that board members need to be residents, blah, 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 who will pledge to be fair-minded and objective with a demonstrated commitment to community service. Referencing the charter, is that what the charter says? I just didn't remember that.
Well, these are hyperlinked. I know you guys don't like to look at it online, but they're all hyperlinked, so let me take a look at it. I have to put the sources.
Yeah, it's in there.
Does have that language, okay. You have in here, on page 12, minutes of standing subcommittee meetings shall be maintained by subcommittee chairs and provided to the board secretary following each meeting.
And we aren't doing them.
I don't wanna do, to me, that seems really
It's
burdensome.
a requirement.
It's a requirement.
Where?
Jose, I think you gave me that one,
For
official
standing committee,
standing subcommittees.
those are a requirement for.
From where?
From our standing
The
rules?
commissioners manual. And that's where we dive into the differentiation between standing and ad hocs. Ad hocs are generally intended to be 1 year committees out of those for a very specific purpose. But if we have one that has sort of like recurring mandate, like fair and impartial did for a while, where they have this mandate that lasted for several years.
And regulations.
And regulations, well, regulations is a little bit weird because of well, no, there was that initial portion of it. But yeah, so if it has a long-standing mandate, that's when you do get into the meeting minutes for those, but for ad hoc committees generally, it's not, a requirement for it to be accessible.
Okay, that just seems burdensome to me.
It does, but I mean, part of this was really illuminating about things that we're not necessarily doing.
Yeah.
So,
I also, and I can't find it, but about elections.
we can't change it, it's in the commissioner's manual.
No, we were tweaking the process last year, I remember, so that, and I don't remember what it was, but so that we'd have nominations, people could nominate themselves, it was kind of a bifurcated thing, right? Anyway, I thought that this was,
The old way.
yeah,
Yeah, I took this from the commissioner's manual. If there's something else, yeah, just let me know.
yeah, I don't remember what we did last year, I just know that we had a process. And maybe that's something, well, we'll have already done it, I guess, by the retreat. Maybe at our next meeting, we can talk about it, if we're supposed to hold elections in January. You know, talk about the process we wanna use.
Well, all I said in here is the officers of the PAB are elected each January by the majority of the PAB. And then I just refer to the commissioner's manual and the charter.
That's good.
So it's not actually specifying anything much in here. I don't know if when we tweaked the process, we were actually in conflict with the commissioner's manual or the charter. Yeah, because a very specific process is laid out in the commissioner's
Yeah,
manual.
the commissioner's manual, the requirement there is primarily that it has to be elected in January. The interim, or not the interim, sorry, the standing rules of the board is really what sort of filtered out the process of nominations in one meeting. And then the final vote at the other.
Right.
But in terms of what we're required to submit to the clerk, we just have to submit the election results. By the end of January, and it has to happen within that time frame.
It just might be helpful to build it into this if we do
Okay.
the process.
I'll look up at least what these, I'll put something more in here based on what those things say. It may be that we still wanna tweak it and within the parameters set by the manual on the charter, if we can, then that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, also under commendations. I guess that's on page 29. Recognition methods, the second bullet was public recognition at events, e.g. BPA annual dinner.
This comes from that set of work that now council member Blackaby did, remember?
Yeah, I don't know if we needed to reference him specifically either here, but I saw that we did that.
Oh,
But-
that's not intended, that's a mistake.
Oh, it's in there. It's in there. Anyway, I would not, given that what we're going through with BPA over the regulations, I don't know if we want to present awards at their annual dinner.
What was that what it says?
It listed as an option. I'm fine taking it out. I will note that this is a required activity for us and we are really behind.
Yeah,
So
no, I
I
agree.
so we need to do it. I could just take out EGBPA
Yeah.
dinner.
And also with about our calendar, things like the commendations, which I think we said we were gonna do quarterly and haven't. And maybe this is something we'll do with the retreat, come up with a calendar, but we need to build all these things in. Because otherwise we get behind all the time. So. Doesn't it seem like a good retreat activity coming up with a calendar we can all agree on?
It does.
I mean, I think we should make the commendations the standing committee, but we can talk about it at the retreat.
It is a standing committee, isn't it? It's with outreach or something.
Yeah, we rolled it up.
You're on.
You're there.
Yeah.
It's not standing in the sense that we have regularly scheduled meetings like on a certain, Tuesday of the third month or whatever.
Okay. Well, to move this along, are there other things that you think are controversial? The one thing from my little memo that I don't think it's been addressed is the ad hoc committees. Do you guys think they should be included in here or? I think that would be a lot of things like our liaison assignments, all the things like we just did the arrest quota. I don't know that that's in here.
Most of our committees are ad hoc.
Well, not regulation. I mean, I put the ones in here. Where are they? What appendix has the subcommittees? Okay, here's the ones that I thought were not ad hoc. Standing committees, metrics and operations, page 20, outreach and engagement, policy and regulations. Those I think are not, because they've just been going on for years and
Well,
years.
regulations is ad hoc, it's just
Right.
lasting a long time.
Yeah, okay.
Right, but it's not a standing,
It's not a standing.
because we won't have it. Standing committees are things that
Once
are
we
always gonna
finish,
be
it'll be
around.
So should we just continue with an approach where ad hoc committees are omitted from this document altogether?
No, I don't, not
Or
necessarily.
should they be added? If they're added, it's a updating thing to remember to keep this up to date.
Well, no, I wouldn't specify them, I would just describe them.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Can we name the appendix standing and ad hoc subcommittees so that it captures like the fact? I don't know. I think that would actually.
Do you have anything more that you wanna elevate here, Chair?
Not at the time. I can't say that I've reviewed every single word of this, but I think it looks generally good to me, besides what we've talked about. We'll have another, we're gonna present this again at the next session, right?
Yeah, you could, I'm not gonna be here at the meeting on the 17th, but if you go back on the we could also not bring it back the first meeting in January. I'll take everything you guys send to me, I'll do a red line version. So you can see it, get it back out to you. But. We don't have to rush it, obviously it's taken like 2 years to do this, but I would love, it was
No, it's great to
great
have.
to finish it.
Yeah,
Thank you, great job.
It is there's just like a lot of like small things like this, and I don't think we should be voting on it right now. But it sounds like we're coming,
Oh, yeah, it's not designed for a vote right now.
Yeah.
I think I put in the memo, it will come back at the first meeting in January, but what I'm saying is it doesn't have to come back in the first meeting. We could have another discussion on a new red line version that I will provide.
Yeah, maybe you can provide it and we can discuss at the next meeting. Just even if you're in absentia, we can just see it. That might be helpful as well.
Yeah, I don't think I'll have it by the meeting on the 17th.
Okay.
So I'll have a red line version to you by the first meeting in January.
Okay, sounds,
Okay. I've lost the agenda on my screens. here.
We're on H.
9H.
Yeah.
Okay,
The use of force policy,
all right.
which begins on page 70 of the packet.
Yeah.
Okay. So just for, clarity and we're on the same page, policy 300, specifically 313 indicates that this policy shall be regularly reviewed and updated to reflect development procedures. At least annually, the Berkeley Police Department will pass shall convene to review and update the support policy to reflect development practices and procedures for SB 230. Last year, we did the first review under the PAB model, OBTA PAB model. We did, from the staff's perspective, a little bit more substantive preparation for discussions here. We had use of force forums during the summer. You weren't well attended for transparency purposes, but we really get some engagement. And then we provided a report to the PAB, and the police department came over and had a conversation. One of the things that we want to just highlight that we do believe, comparatively speaking, the Berkeley Police Department policy is one of the strongest in the region. And we do often get community members or individuals from other communities reaching out to us about what's in the policy. There's a rich history of the Police Review Commission being involved in the drafting of that process. So that's part of the, I think, reason why, there's a lot of good elements in there. One of the things we kind of touched upon in the last report that was more substantive than this one, was this notion of the office of created jeopardy, with concept, and it's gaining a little bit more momentum in academia, but also professionally. It was also highlighted into the stakeholder conference, and there was a webinar on it about 2 years ago, which we highlighted in the report last year. But one of the things that we believe, even with the new Supreme Court ruling that emphasized the totality of circumstances, there's still room at the local level to get this policy a little bit more intentional in terms of what we're expecting out of officers on this team. So we do believe that this notion of officer created jeopardy, what are officers doing prior to these encounters, that may create a situation where they have to use force. And we believe that is a concept that should be definitely from a training perspective emphasized more, but also codified into the policy. And we provided this time some very specific language we would like the PAB to consider in their annual review conversation with the department. Again, it doesn't have to be resolved necessarily this year, but even if it was just a conversation started last year, we fell short of giving specific policy recommendation, but given more research that we've done and also this on the heels of this past naval conference, we felt that we had an opportunity here to really be a model agency and introduce this language into the use of force. I did some gentle pulling around and actually tuned into one use of force training from a nearby jurisdiction where they did it for their oversight commission, and this concept wasn't discussed at all. So we would be on the forefront here. But I'll stop it there. I feel like I might have rambled, but the policy sort of red lines are on the page 3 of that memo, which is page 72 of that packet. But we're happy to take any questions or concerns or.
Did you say we have to do this by the end of the year? I mean, we're supposed to do this each year.
So the language is at least annually, the Berkeley Police Department in the past shall convene to review and update the use of force policy to reflect development practices and procedures. So last year, I think you did it at the December meeting, if I'm not correct. Analyst review, I don't know if you have the exact date, but it was towards the end of the year, so we're on that year clock.
And I only asked because I haven't, I mean, I worked on the use of force policy, I haven't looked at it in a very long time. But my guess is that there would probably be other things that we, at this point, would recommend changing. So maybe it's something for next year that we, again, build this into the calendar and not wait until December and have a, I mean, it should be some subcommittee. You know, somebody should be, I think these are good suggestions, but I'm just saying, I bet there's more. And it would make sense for us to actually do a, you know, close review of the whole policy.
And it says we're supposed to do it in conjunction with the department.
You're supposed to convene with them, so, annually, but yeah.
Well, then we need to. I think these are good. These are good ideas, and I hadn't heard about this Supreme Court case. But, if we're gonna do it, we need to get the department on the schedule to convene.
Yeah, and I alerted the department that this was, and when I submitted this, that there is one meeting left. And I don't know if the PAB wanted to use that meeting to hold this convening, or if they were just gonna push it till January, but. So. I think last year, in my recollection, it wasn't, there were a lot of the departments with subject matter experts on this that came to that meeting. There were some questions, but it wasn't like a very elaborate convening. But it did happen, there were one of the regular meetings.
Does annually mean the calendar year, or it's been a year since our last meeting with the department, or why does it have to be before the end of this year?
Well, at least annually, we were tracking it from the last discussion, so we haven't done it all year, so. Coincides with both.
Given the date, the time, it just seems like there's not much more that could be done. I don't even know if the department will be able to convene before the end of the year. But do you need us to vote on this?
We were trying to, in recognition that there wasn't a more concerted effort to sort of calendarize this. If the pastor wanted to use that last meeting as this convening meeting, like for agenda this item, that we will try to give some language or some food for thought for some items to be considered.
So you mean the meeting on December 17th?
Right, you
So give the department that has nothing to say that during the chief's report time, we want to focus on this.
or have a conversation for our annual convening of use of force.
But the convening is supposed to include them.
Right,
Yeah.
right, so you were alerted that we're December 17th, we didn't do it all year. Do you have a representative available to convene with us on use of force? And potentially you can have a conversation on this, if not, you could just have it more general about use of force.
And just to be clear, this has to be done this year.
So,
It's outlined in a BPD policy.
yeah, and if we can get on the screen, but it's 313 says at least annually, the Berkeley Police Department and the PAB shall convene to review and update the use of force policy to reflect development practice and procedure for SB 230.
So it's
It's their policy.
wow.
I think,
So shouldn't it be reaching out to us?
That should.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
We do.
Yeah, but they don't.
I think that plan to try to do it on the 17th sounds good to me. I think I won't be here, but it seems like you should send this memo in advance, like here's what, oh, you already did.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, can you have somebody prepared for this, so we can use the 17th as our convening?
But did you she did respond back, real quick, that she might not have somebody to. So she said, thanks, acknowledging receipt, not sure we will have substantive formal feedback prior to December 17th, but can share with the people feedback and see what we can get done.
So it's not that we're asking feedback from them by the 17th, we're asking somebody to come and discuss with us.
Right, well, it's alerted that this may come up on the December 17th, shadow choose to do that annual convening on that date.
Okay.
If it doesn't sound like it's a priority for her.
I can't
You don't have to.
Stop it, everybody.
Do you need a vote from us or not?
Well,
we're getting direction.
I think one direction would be helpful to formally affirmatively tell the chief, we're using December 17th as our annual meeting. We didn't do it all year.
I don't think we get to decide. I think because the language says we shall convene together, so I don't think we get to say. We're doing this, so you have to do it with us. I think we're just saying we would like to use that. It's in your policy that we convene annually. This is the date we propose. Can you have somebody there? You don't need to do anything in advance. Let's talk about this there. And she always has somebody at the meeting anyway.
But I would just strongly reinforce, like, it's their policy. So we're just trying to be in accordance with their policy. And if it's not a priority or not the right time, you just want her to say that.
And maybe change their policy because right now it's in our policy manual as a required activity for us. I put it in there.
Oh,
I mean, so it's in the use of force policy.
Yes, and
We probably put it in there because we thought it would be helpful and a good thing for us to take an annual look at it.
I think we should.
No, I think so too. I'm just saying it was probably out.
it's another thing for this calendar,
Right.
so we're not waiting. Okay, I will move that the director ask the department or indicate to the department that we would like to use December 17th meeting of this board as the vehicle for compliance with BPD policy 300, whatever it is, 0.13.
300.13.
13, and that the director provides the department with any material that's been created in relation to that review. In advance so that they can be prepared for discussion on the 17th. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay. Board member Calavita,
Yes.
board member Lockwood,
Yes.
board member Wells,
Yes.
board member Buzz Wiltrago,
Yes.
vice chair Wilson,
Yes.
and chair Cayetano.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, I just have one question related to the December 17th meeting. Knowing that vice chair is not gonna be there, how many board members do we need to attend to ensure we have quorum?
Assuming the leave of absence is filed, that brings down the number to 5, which would make it a quorum of 3.
I'll get that done tomorrow.
Just one other thought I had.
No.
I like the idea of us asking the chief in advance to have somebody address something because. They do their standard report and then sometimes we ask questions, but I think it would be in our interest to be a little more proactive. If there are specific things we'd like the chief to address.
Okay. If that's that, we'll move on to our last public comment section before adjournment. Given that we don't have any physically present speakers, I'll move on to our virtual attendees. For those of you still online, if you'd like to provide public comment, now would be the time. Please use the raise hand icon on bar 9. Vice Chair, I don't see any hands raised.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
All right. Good night, everybody. Bye, chair.